Get ready with me for a day shift at the club while I talk about the pros and cons of day shift and night shift for strippers. Today I'm using a palette that my friend recommended me by Vise Art, and it's called the Editorial Brights mini palette, and I'm excited to do a fun look today. I already did the inner corners with the white color here, and I also went in on the lids with the pink color, and right now I'm just blending it out. That's my number one tip for makeup. It actually changed the game for me when somebody told me, take your time, blend the eyeshadow, and just really just keep going back and forth, and it makes such a difference in making your eyeshadow look seamless. After I'm done getting ready, I'm gonna take you guys on a short mini vlog of my day at work today. So I'm going to talk about day shift first because honestly, I'm a bit of a day shift girly, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about why. The first pro of day shift is that in general, there tends to be less competition. The club I work at right now actually only has 5 girls on every shift, which I think is amazing. But at the end of the day, when there's less girls, it means that it's easier for all of us to make money. One thing I will also say is that a lot of clubs will put the baby dancers on day shift. So if you are a veteran stripper and you know what you're doing, oftentimes the day shift can almost feel like the easy version of the night shift, in my opinion. I just finished laying the pink eyeshadow on my eyelid, and now I'm going to blend it more with the white so that it looks absolutely seamless. And don't get me wrong, I think a little bit of healthy competition is always good, but if you're the type of person that doesn't like a highly competitive environment and wants more of a chill atmosphere, then I definitely recommend day shift over night shift because it feels a lot more of a solo hustle. It feels a little bit more intimate, and you can pretty much just feel a little bit more in control over the situation because it's daytime, and when there are fewer girls or less competition, it is easier for you to stand out in a club where there's a lot of noises and distractions and people walking around. So that's my number one pro of day shift that I find makes it easier for me to navigate the room and catch the right customer at the right time. The second pro of day shift that I want to talk about is that I've noticed that there are more regulars on day shift. I've noticed that daytime customers tend to be people who will come in all the time to have lunch and are in the building regularly. I find that day shift attracts a lot of retirees or people on their lunch break who tend to behave in regular patterns where they always go to the same places for lunch and they like to have their places to go locally. So yeah, I've definitely noticed that if you work a day shift at a club with a good location, that you would be surprised how consistent the money can be simply because people are always coming in every day. You would think, oh, day shift, it must be really slow. Even if there aren't that many people in the building, there always are a few every day. Yes, there are bad days. There's always bad days as a stripper, but the consistency and the regulars are more abundant during the day, and they know the dances that they want, the way that they interact with the dancers, and how much money that they spend. It is more of a regular habit for them than the people that are partying in the nighttime. Now I'm bringing the pink down on my waterline and finishing the eyeshadow look. I would say that the third pro of working day shift is the fact that you get to have earlier hours. This is a huge pro for me because I also run a business, and it's nice to be able to get off work at a reasonable hour and be able to get in bed and have a pretty regular sleep schedule. Now, depending on your lifestyle, this might be a pro or a con, but I definitely see it as a pro that you're able to benefit from the financial accessibility of stripping while still maintaining a relatively regular lifestyle. If you're a parent or if you have other things that you need to do throughout your day in the evening time, or if you just need to be able to wake up at a normal hour like most of society, then day shift can definitely sometimes blend better into your schedule and allow you free nights where you can leisurely do your hobbies if you have hobbies and you like to do them at night or whatever it really is. I just think that that can definitely be a pro, not having to be at the club until 2 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, which is what a lot of night shift dancers do. All right, I feel like I got the eyeshadow to look even on both sides, nice and blended, and it's okay that it's a little bit messy right now down here because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean it up with concealer and blush, and it's gonna be perfect by the time I'm done. Right now I'm just going to brush out my eyebrows and start to apply my face makeup. So let's get on to the cons of day shift because you know what? It's not for everybody. Let's start off with the fact that yes, there is a lower volume of customers that tend to come in during the day. This isn't always the case, but when you're working day shift, you should expect to talk to less people. Let's face it, most people associate the strip club with going at night and having a night on the town. So there is going to be less foot traffic and customers coming in during the day. Like I said, it's going to be more regulars and less people wanting to go and have a splurge random good time. It does happen, but I will say in general, there is just less volume of customers during the day. So you really do have to pay attention when somebody walks in the door, or else you might miss out on the money completely. You really just have to be paying attention because if there are less customers, then you really have to be able to spot them when they do come in and make the time available for them. On night shift, there are a lot more customers coming in and there are more chances for you to talk to people and meet somebody new. The second con of day shift is that there tends to be slower vibes in the building. This might be a pro for some people, but it can be a little bit boring. Sometimes when I go for day shifts, nobody comes in between 12 and 2, but then people come in between 2 and 5. So I end up having to sit there and do nothing for 2 hours, which can be very boring and frustrating, and then you kind of lose your spark for the rest of the day. But if you are able to sustain your patience, I think sometimes the slower vibes are deceiving and people will succumb to leaving early or whatever it is. Chiller vibes can also make customers feel like there's less urgency to spend. So you do have to counter that chill energy and still give them a reason to feel like there's excitement behind the doors of VIP, that we can still have a great fun time and let loose. So yeah, you do kind of have to deal with the fact that everyone is in more of a laid back and relaxed state during the day versus at night where people are a little bit more tuned or ready for excitement and taking risks and making irresponsible decisions. The third con is the fact that you might have to actively hustle harder, aka you might have to sit and talk to customers longer than you would have to at night when people are a little bit more susceptible to making snap decisions and going with the flow. During the day, you might have to apply a little bit more pressure and do a little bit more convincing as to why they should spend exuberant amounts of money to hang out with you and have you dance for them. Customers might not be in the mood to party necessarily, so you do have to take a little bit more of an intentional approach with your sales tactics, which can be a bit draining and can burn you out at times in a different way than night shift will. From personal experience, I really like day shift. I currently have a lot of regulars that come to see me on a regular basis, so I never really worry about not having a good day. I always know I'm going to make my base level amount that I like to make. However, there is a little bit less of that excitement, party energy, and the regulars that I have during the day, we actually talk about real topics and we actually get to know each other very well. Obviously, I don't tell them everything about me and my private life, but there is more energy exchange happening during the day on an emotional, intelligent level. So I admit that can be very draining for me, but I do take the earlier hours and the pros that I get from day shift over night shift, and I'm going to share what I think the pros and cons of night shift are now. I finished my concealer. Now I'm powdering my face, and I will go in with the blush to add a little bit of rosiness, even though it does get washed out in a dark club. So let's talk about night shift. I feel like obviously one of the pros of night shift is that there is more money potential. Like I said earlier, there's more volume, more customers. Especially on weekends, I feel like you can make tons of money on stage because there can be so many people in the building on Fridays and Saturday nights, because strip clubs are a common place for people to go out, especially after dinner or after going to the club. So you just know that when you go to work on a night shift on a weekend, that you're definitely going to leave with something, versus day shift where you could possibly leave with nothing unless you have regulars. If you have regulars, it won't happen, but yeah. So on night shift, you have a little bit more certainty that you're going to at least make, money on stage and be able to have the opportunity to talk to a lot of people. The second pro is that there is a livelier vibe. There's more exhilarating music playing. There's more people in the room. There's more energy. So it's great for stage presence and motivation to work hard. When there's a lot of people in the room, you can just work the crowd very easily, make money, and you don't have to be so strategic with the way that you approach your hustle. And I definitely think that the external, livelier vibe helps you as a salesperson to get people to want to have fun. Unlike day shift, where you really are the person that's setting the vibe, there aren't going to be a lot of people in there. There isn't going to be lively music. Oftentimes, you guys are running your own music, so you have to think about music. You have to think about everything. On night shift, there's a very curated experience. Oftentimes, there's a lot more staff on site. There's a DJ, there's people that are there to curate the vibe for everyone that's there. So you mostly just have to focus on talking to people and getting in front of the right people at the right time, and making sure that you also are not draining yourself before the end of the night and not missing that power hour, that last hour of the night where everybody comes in, right? So its energy is already there. You don't necessarily have to create it so much. I just finished my blush. Now I'm just going in with mascara so that the eyelashes can look all flirty and ready to go. Now the third pro of night shift is that there is a higher likeliness that big ballers will come in, aka celebrities, sports players, A-list, B-list, whatever we're talking. Or maybe they're not celebrities, maybe they're just, finance people that have a lot of money, or big bachelor parties that are ready to spend big. Those things are definitely more likely to happen during the night shift. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I've met NBA players and celebrities on night shifts multiple times. During the day shift, I think an NBA player came in one time and didn't spend much money and left pretty quickly. So yeah, there's a lot more chance that there's going to be big ballers in the room on night shift. That definitely is a pro, because you might make one of those crazy high earning nights that we all pray to the stripper gods for. And I think that the unpredictability of night shift and the amazing experiences that you can have is definitely a pro. I'm not going to sit here and say that that's a con. That's really fucking cool and definitely one of the coolest parts of dancing. So let's get into the cons of night shift. You don't have to agree with everything I say. Drop in the comments if you have a different opinion than me. I would love to hear what you think and what your experiences are. The first con is that there is more competition. There's going to be a lot more girls on the night shift. More girls means more competition, aka, you have to be more on your A game because everybody that's going to be there is also there for the same reason as you. All the girls there are there to make money and have a great night. So there's just going to be a lot more competition to find the right person at the right time, to get in the right booths. And that can be very stressful for some people. And if you're not, a big competitive person, that can definitely get in your way of making money if you're not able to assert yourself and approach customers yourself. Now, obviously, you can be the most perfect peach in the room, but you're in a room full of dozens of other perfect apples and peaches and oranges and all kinds of looks and vibes and people. So it's just a little bit more difficult to be noticed when there are a lot more girls. The second con are the long, late nights. They can get very exhausting. A lot of strippers dance until 3, 5 in the morning, don't get home until the early morning hours. And that can be rough on your sleep schedule, your body, your social relationships, your family relationships, and it's just not the societal norm. So it kind of puts you in this position where you might feel like you don't really see people during the day, or that you're always inside during the day, always sleeping during the day. And I think that that is definitely a con of night shift, but people do it, and a lot of people have great schedules and ways that they set their schedule up to support having night shifts and living that lifestyle in a healthy way. It's definitely not impossible, but I think that night shifts can oftentimes make it harder to lead a healthier life. Okay, I just finished my mascara. I'm gonna do my lips, we're gonna do my hair really quick, and then I have to get out of here and I will take you guys to the club with me. The last thing that I'm going to say for cons for stripping, I'm using this lip liner. It's like a dark brown color. The last thing I will say is that on night shift, there tends to be rowdier crowds. And this is for a couple of reasons. People still drink and do drugs during the day, obviously. But in my experience, there is a lot more rowdiness and excessive drinking happening during the night shift. And your club might actually even encourage that kind of behavior in order to sell bottles, sell liquor. So first of all, it's not going to be a sober environment if you're somebody that wants to be sober and dancing. But even if you don't want to be sober, it's just a rowdy environment. And it's easy to get influenced, it's easy to be intimidated, it's easier to get burnt out when you're constantly in that high energy, rowdy environment where people are drinking and making irresponsible decisions or just acting inebriated or out of character. I think anyone who works in nightlife can tell you that this is definitely a con of the business. And when people are drinking more and more inebriated, more fucked up in any type of way, they also can be more aggressive, which is pretty terrifying, especially when you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position, such as a private room with somebody, or just the fact that you're naked and literally on display for people and on stages makes you a little bit vulnerable to people who are aggressive or might not have the best intentions for you. So I think you really just need to be careful and aware, and even if you're drinking and having fun on the night shift, You just need to be a little bit more on your toes to make sure that nothing fishy is going on, or that you're not getting your boundaries pushed, or you're not getting into a VIP room with someone that's going to end up hurting you. Now, obviously, these things can happen on the day shift. These things are not exclusive to either shift. I think sex workers all have to deal with very similar types of pros and cons in our line of work. And I think for every person, there's going to be different pros and cons. I don't think stripping is the number one job for everybody. I think that there are pros and cons of this job, just like any other job. And it just matters whether stripping feels right to you. Just know that if you're just working night shifts right now, try day shifts, see if you like it. If you're only working day shifts, try night shifts, see if you like it. Have your own opinions, listen to what I say and take it with a grain of salt and form your own opinions. I think it's so easy to look to everyone else for the answers in the strip club world and think that you're doing something wrong. But the only way that you're going to really learn and know what works for you is by putting yourself out there and trying different things that you're comfortable with. What I'm trying to do is just give you information so that you're more equipped to handle the situations when you're in them and that you feel more prepared. So I just checked myself out in the mirror. I think my makeup looks so pretty. And I don't have much time, so I brushed my hair and just made it look a little bit neater. And that's going to have to do for today's day shift. So I had to rush downstairs for my stage set, but this is my outfit. I'm in the locker room right now. I got the pink Nemesis apparel bikini with the sparkles. I don't know if you guys can see, but it has this like beautiful sparkle. And then I'm wearing these adorable stockings with the flares on the bottom. I got them at Eye Candy here in Portland. It's like a little dancewear shop. And then the heels are XO Show Pony heels. I'm sponsored by XO Show Pony, so if you want to get yourself a pair of these spearmint heels, use my code RED for a discount. And yeah. No one is here yet, so I got a Red Bull The Juneberry flavor just gets me through the day, and the bartender puts a little bit of lime juice in it, and it's so good. Thank me later. We'll see how today goes. Yesterday, I made like $960, like almost $1,000 after tip out. And it was just like a really good day. And a couple of my regulars said that they would come back today, but we'll see because, sometimes people forget or they end up getting busy. So we'll see. Okay, so I got home and as usual, the shifts just got busy and I had regulars coming in and customers coming in to see me. So I did not have time to really film the way I would normally want to, but that's okay. And I had a decent day at the club. It definitely was not like yesterday where I made almost $1,000, but it was still a decent day and my regulars came through to see me. So I love having regulars. It just like makes it so that I literally never leave the club without money. So today I made $360. I am happy to be home at this point. I usually just unwind for the day, and luckily it's pretty early in the day, so I have time to unwind and watch a movie or do whatever I want to do. So yeah, I love being on day shift, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this mini vlog.